Hello, my name is Rex, and you probably have no idea who I am unless you're one of my friends. I wouldn't even really call myself a YouTuber, I'm just someone with a YouTube account who posts mostly shorts every now and then. I'll apologize up front as the mic I'm using is very cheap and quite old at this point, but it's all I have and this topic was important to me. I have been playing League of Legends since 2016, and in that time I have played almost exclusively one champion, Xayah. I love this champ. Even when her win rate is abysmal, I still play her. I love how she plays. I love her lore. And I love the relationship and mechanics that she has with her partner, Rakan. A few weeks ago, Riot announced that Xayah and Rakan would be getting new skins, and fans of the duo waited with bated breath to see what the new shared recall would be, as we were disappointed with the lack of a new shared recall animation in the Arcana skins from 1 year prior. What fans of the bird duo got was another skin with no new shared recall animation. Now, I'm not here to talk about the actual Broken Covenant skins. Maybe I'll do a different video about that at some point. I'm here to talk about First off, yes, I know I'm a few weeks late to this party, but I have both a full-time job and run a small homestead business. I don't always have the time to sit down and do these kinds of things, although I do think about them often. So, now imagine how strong my feelings on the matter must be if I have found a way to finally set aside time to make this video. Riot is no stranger to making changes for the good of the fantasy. As we can see in this excerpt from Riot Truixie's Twitter, sorry if I mispronounced that, about how overtaxing the AP on mage items caused both the fantasy and functionality to fall below the bar. This isn't the only time that Riot references fantasy. On March 14th, another Rioter tweets about the upcoming 13.6 patch, and how they're trying their best to balance Yuumi in such a way that both makes playing against her fair, and still manages to keep the fantasy of getting all of her ult's waves off for a clutch save. Keeping the fantasy alive. What does that even mean? Fantasy is all about imagination and immersion. If you were playing a video game set in medieval times and suddenly a man with a machine gun showed up, you might find yourself taken out of the experience and your immersion broken. In the case of League of Legends, it more so pertains to how it feels to play a specific champion. League has well over 100 champions at the time of this recording, and while many of them share classes or characteristics or item paths, they're all given unique traits and gameplay in order to differentiate them. Except for Seraphine. Why play Caitlyn instead of Draven? Caitlyn is designed to make you feel like a sniper. Draven is designed to make you feel like a madman with twirling axes and no sense of self-preservation. They're both marksmen. They can even build similar items, but you're going to feel very differently playing as the Sheriff of Piltover compared to the Draven of Dravenland, Noxus. This goes beyond just gameplay and dips into the lore of League of Legends.
The lore! The lore, guys! The lore!
There's a lot to be said about what's been happening with League's lore lately, but for the confines of this video, we'll just focus on the fact that it does exist and it should be impactful, as it has impacted gameplay decisions before. Back to the Caitlyn example. Caitlyn is a sniper and a crack shot in the lore. Of course she's going to have an ultimate ability that is her headshotting you. It's also in her passive. She's obsessed with capturing Yordles. She's got a trap she can lay down that's called the Yordle Snap Trap. You can find these examples everywhere. Hecarim is a half-man, half-horse ghost. Of course he's super fast and tramples people. Fizz is the trickster of Bilgewater, who is impossible to catch. Of course he has an ability that allows him to jump on people's heads and become intangible. The list goes on, as it should. So, what about Xayah and Rakan? The deadly duo were created with a core element in mind.
What if we tried to make two champions that had more to do with each other than any other champions we've ever made before. We wanted to make the ultimate duo experience.
We all settled very quickly on lovers. We don't have a true romance in League of Legends. These are two people who are never going to leave each other's side.
We don't expect that every player is going to be in love with every champion.
Riot's own video on the making of Xayah and Rakan basically unravels their lackluster arguments on why the decision was made to discontinue new shared recall animations. But I'll break it down anyway. The fantasy of Xayah and Rakan is that they are rebel fighters who are deeply in love and who complement each other. Rakan is loud, bright, in your face, and will walk the line of danger. Xayah is reserved, sticks to the shadows, and will kill you the instant that you are distracted by Rakan. They were designed with several passives that interact only with each other, a double-edged sword that makes them deadly together, but not quite as powerful when apart. Rakan can leap farther if he's leaping to Xayah. Xayah's deadly plumage gives buffs to Rakan when he is nearby, and of course, they can recall together. An ability that is super simplistic, but also very unique. This shared recall passive is called Lover's Leap, and it is very obvious that the whole reason it exists is to capitalize on the fantasy that Xayah and Rakan were designed around. Lover's Leap has always had a unique animation compared to their solo recalls, and it has always gotten a new animation when a new skin is released. The last skin to have a new animation was Elderwood, a personal favorite of mine, both in terms of the skin and the recall animation. So, what exactly was Riot's reasoning for Arcana and then Broken Covenant no longer getting new Lover's Leap animations? According to Riot, the pick rate for both Xayah and Rakan being on the same team and having the same skin is very low. I want to present my arguments in a very professional fashion. But I have to be honest with you. This explanation is ridiculous. Why? Because it was always going to be true from day one of release. Champions have an increase in pick rate when they have good win rates. Funny how that works. Now, it's true that some champions have high pick rates despite lower win rates for various reasons. They may fit well into most team comps, or they are hyper carries that are almost always guaranteed to win so long as you get to late game, or some are just fan favorites. Now, let me play you another clip from Riot's making of Xayah and Rakan video that shows that they know that this low pick rate argument never made sense.
We don't expect that every player is going to be in love with every champion. We really expect that players will gravitate towards a handful that sort of connect with the player on some sort of emotional level.
Not everyone is going to love Xayah and Rakan. Of course not. Not everyone is going to play Xayah and Rakan. I am in a small subset of people that will play Xayah no matter what her win rate is. And I have a dedicated duo partner who plays Rakan with me. I also have another friend who will duo Rakan with me. I have had the occasional rando support pick Rakan when they see that I'm going Xayah. Not always, but it does happen. And when they do, I almost always change my skin to match whatever they have. Why? Because I own every Xayah skin. Why? Because Xayah is my heart champion, and this really pains me. In the making of video, Riot talks about how Xayah and Rakan were created with a very specific fantasy in mind: love and partnership. I have a very special relationship with these champions that makes me the target demographic. I'll be totally honest with you. Xayah and Rakan are why I gave League a second chance. Long ago, I downloaded League because my friend told me to try it, and I hated it. I had no idea what I was doing, no idea how anything worked, and in a versus AI game, I got flamed for taking a kill on a bot. So I quit. Flash forward to the release of Xayah and Rakan. My boyfriend, who was that friend from before, tells me that 2 new champions were added to League, and that he thinks I should try the game again. At first, I have absolutely no desire to do this, but then he shows me their splash art. They are bird-like champions, and a couple. The guy has ADHD and is loud and boisterous. The girl is dark, reserved, and very, very sharp. I am immediately intrigued. You probably don't know this about me, but I love birds. I'm not a cat or dog person. I am a bird person. And this new ADC, Xayah, she was just basically me. And Rakan, he was pretty much my boyfriend. They were us. So I gave the game another try. It's now 2023, and I have over 500,000 mastery on Xayah and am M7. And if I didn't have such terrible internet, I'd be working on climbing ranked with her. Not everyone is me. But how could Riot ever expect that both of these champs would always have a high pick rate together? Unless you make them absolutely broken, that's just not how the meta works. That unique duo recall animation is a major part of the fantasy for these champs. It is unique to them and one of the highlights that people look forward to when a new skin is announced. To cut new animations for it because of the low probability that Xayah and Rakan will be on the same team and have the same skin is admitting to never having understood how their own game works and admitting to not caring about the fantasy of these two champions. Not only that, but this numbers argument makes no sense, because lately they've been adding map-wide VFX to certain skins when they get a pentakill. Those numbers don't look so good. Now, if Riot were true to their word about percentages needing to influence how much effort was put into a skin, I'd say that putting the massive amount of effort into making map-wide VFX for 2 champs when they get pentakills, which is a very rare occurrence, does not make any sense. But I bet it does help the fantasy of the champ and skin's power. 2 legendary skins getting map-wide VFX to celebrate a very rare occurrence? Yeah, it probably feels very good. Oh, and just for funsies, here's Xayah's current pentakill rate. It's the highest of all 3. I'm not saying that this means that she deserves the map-wide VFX on a skin when she gets a penta, but if numbers were really the only important factor here, it makes more sense to give a map-wide VFX for getting a pentakill on a champ that not only has a higher pentakill rate, but also has a higher maining and popularity rate. Riot has openly admitted that they need to change how they work on League. They're going to release fewer champs per year in order to put more focus on quality of life changes like game modes, reworks, and VGUs. But too many champs isn't the only problem. We have way too many new skins. A new skin line is being released every month. And while some of the skins look great, others completely miss the mark. There will be fans for every skin. They're very subjective. But some of the skins clearly have a lot more effort put into them than others, and it really makes you wonder why we keep churning out this many skins this frequently. Before Riot Brightmoon decides to jump down my throat, no, I don't think that the skin department is lazy. I think they're overworked. Pushing out a new skin line every month is going to tap the team dry. They don't have enough time to put proper effort into each new skin, and it's very obvious that some skins got a lot more effort in the same skin line. Not every skin can be legendary tier or push boundaries, but maybe if the skin department didn't have to push out a new skin line every single month, they might actually have the time to give every skin the love it deserves, and do extra things like animate a shared recall for a pair of champions whose unique ability to recall together helps to majorly sell the fantasy that they were designed for.
We're not making a character for immediate splash, we're making a character forever. Forever.
I'm not the only person upset by Riot's decision. In fact, there's an entire change.org petition around it that I'll link to below. But I just want to read you a quick excerpt from it that shows that the players understand what it means to keep the fantasy alive. The joint recall is not about money. It's about sticking to their character origin idea. It's about actual player satisfaction. Feathers Fatale, the owner of the petition, has her own video on why Riot's decision to no longer make new shared recall animations makes no sense. You can find it linked below. I recommend giving it a watch if you have the time and care about the issue. I would rather that we have less skins released each year, but every skin line be allowed to have all the time, effort, and love that it deserves, than get a new skin line every month. Riot just boasted about record-breaking profits last year. The company isn't hurting for money. If pushing out new skins to every other month somehow cripples Riot's profits, then Riot needs to deeply reconsider how they run things. This game is full of tryhards, sweats, salty trolls, people who want to climb to Challenger no matter what, content creators, artists, one-tricks, casuals, everyone. I play League instead of some other MOBA because League offers me unique champions that have a lot of heart and soul. Everyone will find some champion to fall in love with, and what makes them love that champion more than another will be different for each person. But I'm willing to bet that a significant part of it will be that character's fantasy. There's a reason why Yasuo is a typical anime samurai. He plays into a very specific fantasy that a lot of people want to experience. That fantasy is what makes him different from Garen. And that fantasy impacts his playstyle and his abilities. Riot, you gave Xayah and Rakan a very unique ability that helped to sell their fantasy in ways that made people who hated this game give it another try. Please don't forget what made this game unique compared to others. Please stop killing the fantasy.